What's up, AfterBuzzers? Welcome back to the One Day at a Time After Show. Today we're going to be breaking down the first part of Season 3, Episodes 1 through 4. We've got brothers, we've got lesbians, and we've got Gloria Estefan. Stay tuned.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
What's up, guys? I'm so excited to be back.
It's just like it's not the same, not that, because this actually has like a good theme song to be able to do.
One day at a time. Let's go. Let's get that on. Come on.
Ready to pull the curtain open. It's fine.
Right.
What's up, you guys?
Hello.
Hello.
I feel like it's been so long.
It has. It's been like
Nice
a
to see
year.
y'all. I
But
know.
I'm so excited. There's
I feel like it's
so
been
much-
quicker than a year though, because we actually
Yeah.
we had to wait till I think it was like about a few weeks before they actually picked it up for season 3.
Yeah, we did.
So
That's
it's
true.
been a little bit short of a year.
It has, yeah. But I've just been so anxious for
I
it.
know.
You know?
It
It
felt
felt like
long.
forever.
It felt like forever.
What's up, you guys? I am back covering season 3. I'm your host, Taylor Gates, and I have a full panel with me.
Oh,
Some
yeah.
returning
Cool.
faces and some new faces. Introduce yourself, you lovely people.
What's up, my beautiful people? It's your boy Danny Royce here.
I'm the new person. I'm Candice Cruz.
She's not really new though. I'm Rick Hong, but Candice has a long history with One Day at a Time.
I do.
Yes.
I'm obsessed with this show and I love it. It's really near and dear to my heart. So I'm super excited to be on part of the team.
Yes, I'm
guys.
so
Great
excited
to have you.
you. Before we kind of get into the whole nitty gritty, what were your guys' thoughts of just getting back into the groove? Like, what were your initial sort of impressions watching these first couple episodes?
Go ahead.
Oh, I just love
The
this
new-
show
the
so
new-
much. I mean, I think they jumped right back in right where they left off. And what a way to start out the season with all these incredible guest stars. Like, what a powerhouse of just, number one, women and Latinas, and just coming in strong and really showing a whole another element to like the Latino family, especially when they're in mourning. So it was like a fun element to bring back the season with. And I just was like, it fell right back in, and I loved all the topics that they covered 1 through 4.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I was anxious. I was waiting the whole time. I follow everyone on Instagram, so I'm like, okay, it's coming. And so when it finally came, the first 4 episodes are amazing. Like you said, they jumped right in, seeing Gloria and
Stephanie Beatrice.
yes, Stephanie Beatrice, and just seeing them just jump in there, and it just had a lot of great guest stars, and I loved all the topics, and just seeing the relationships between everyone, especially during this time, was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I felt like they didn't skip a beat. I really felt like they had this. They took the same momentum from season 2 and immediately like jumped in season 3. Like it almost didn't feel like there was a break.
Yeah.
Like they kept it very, very consistent and like hitting all the themes that they did in season 2.
Exactly.
So
Absolutely. And I love that they did dive back in with the funeral, because it's like the whole
Right.
big family vibe. Like, nothing brings people together, like weddings, like funerals, or wedding shawls and funerals, I guess, for this
Babies,
episode.
all the things.
Babies,
No
everything.
babies yet, just funerals.
Not yet. But
Right.
I love how they were just kind of making the joke of just how big their family is. Like, they couldn't even remember the Tia that died. There's
Yeah.
like Tia Bitchy, Tia Jack Sparrow, but Tia Ophelia is the one that ended up passing away. And so, yes, everyone is at the Alvarez household. And one of my favorite storylines from this, not to be biased, because I just love Elena and I love her whole coming out storyline. I think it's very relatable. But I love how she just hooks right onto Pilar, because she's the only other gay one in the
Right.
family. And she's like such the activist and wants to just make her feel like she can live her true self and be free. And I love that. I love that whole relationship, and I loved how Pilar was finally like, at first it's all, rainbow underwear and things, but it's nice to just, settle down after a while. What did you think of that relationship? Did you love it as much as I did?
well, there's the whole thing too with the family like doing the gesture.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're all like, oh, like they don't really try to say it, just like so.
Yeah, and I feel like that's it was a nice like shine on that aspect, because that's how it is in a lot of minority households, and just kind of like you don't talk about it, about it, but you don't say anything. So it was interesting how she just really hooked on the Pilar, and I felt like she really wanted her to just like be someone she's not, and that's kind of what I was like, okay, calm down a little bit, let her just do her thing, because she's already past that part.
I think Elena is just such an activist in general. Like, that's just her personality, and she runs very high.
Yeah.
High energy. I understand you, Elena. I feel you because I feel like I run at that energy level too sometimes.
Too much coffee.
There's Diet Coke in here too, so shout out to caffeine. But
Let me take this away. No.
But I really enjoyed that, and I think, like you said, it is still a faux pas.
Yeah.
Something that they don't talk about in minority households, especially in Latino families who don't talk about that much. But I did like going back off of that. I loved the big family element because that is true. My dad is one of 7, and I counted. We were on FaceTime the other day, and we only had half, and there are 20 of us on FaceTime. So like
On FaceTime,
on
how
FaceTime.
squeeze
We
20
had
people on
20
FaceTime?
people for a birthday, for my grandfather's birthday in Puerto Rico. So like,
I can only
if we
imagine
could
like you're
do
just
that
like
for
seeing someone's
birthdays-
eye. It's like,
Right.
hey, grandpa, it's like that's my eye. You can see my eye. Yeah.
But
It's
yeah,
my nose.
to get all of them into one room, that's
it's a
real
lot.
life, spot on.
Right. Yeah.
It was awesome. And there were so many good jokes with that too. Like one of the biggest laughs that I've had so far this season is the Busch Gardens joke. Like, we're going to Busch Gardens. She's like, yeah, you are. Like, that's just, oh my God, that was brilliant. I love that. And speaking of the amazing guest stars, of course, for playing Martha, we had Gloria Estefan. And I know that these writers have been trying to get her on forever.
Yeah.
Follow them on Twitter. So I'm like, they finally did it. I'm just so happy.
Yeah.
And she was so much fun to watch.
was.
Yeah.
Her rivalry with Lydia was just hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, they outdo each other, like, try to outdo each other with illnesses, with singing, like, literally with anything you could imagine.
Dancing.
Yes.
Dancing,
Yes. Oh my
I can
gosh.
do the salsa without breaking my hip. I was like, that was hilarious. But the singing part, like, that was epic. Like, that whole, it was just such a great moment in the episode.
I mean, West Side Story.
Yes.
Rita Moreno.
Like,
Before there was Gloria
like-
Estefan, who's
Exactly.
there was
amazing.
Rita Moreno, and then like Gloria Estefan is like the Cubano, like
Right, Rita
a
Moreno.
Cuban like actress, singer, dancer, like
All around amazing.
everything. Like, how could you? That's a dream to have
Yeah.
those two ladies right there.
It was
I
amazing.
feel like the entire cast and crew was just like,
That's how I was. I
The
was
hearts in
watching.
the eyes.
No, it's cool to see Gloria Estefan because she's not really an actress.
yeah,
She's not. She's a
only done
singer,
couple things.
singer,
Yeah.
performer.
killed it.
But that's what I'm saying. So like, and like, it's also too like Candice interviewed Isabella Gomez. We got to go interview Isabella and Marcel. And one of the things that Isabella had said was, I always looked at myself as a dramatic actress, and like learning how to do comedy and the timing and everything. So to see like Gloria Estefan, go into like a sitcom versus like trying to do drama even harder. So
Yeah.
it was cool to
Yeah,
see her.
I agree.
It was great to see her like doing her thing. And I don't know what's going on with my.
I think it's.
Yeah. Yeah, I
we go.
definitely agree.
We're all checking our phones to make sure they're all sorry for the feedback, guys.
But yeah, I love that. And we finally get to the point where, so basically Lydia and Martha have been keeping Penelope and her cousin Estrelita apart, and they were like best friends all growing up. They had, like, I love the scene where they were doing like the dancing and talking
Yeah.
about, stealing wine coolers and all of that. And so they finally start to sort of repair the relationship, and so we get Penelope and Estrelita again, which was a lot of fun to see them interacting. And it's Melissa Fumero, correct? Was who played?
Yeah.
Did you guys love that dynamic as well?
Oh yeah, she's amazing. It was great, and I love the little like nod to telenovelas.
Yeah.
When they were like, "I did the hair, I did the perm, didn't work out. I've always loved your girls." And then the
I love
head
that,
nod. I was
yeah.
like, "Okay, all
It
right,
was,
I
it was
see you.
just
I see
so
you."
dramatic. I loved it.
Because I mean, sometimes that's the way that it is. I mean,
Yeah.
as you get to be adults, like you don't. Different when you have like a brother or sister, but when you have a cousin, like you'd only see him from time to time or this or that. So like you have like those like younger childhood stories. So it's cool to see them sharing it or like having some sort of like bond of like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen you in so long, but remember when we did this? Remember when we did that?
Yeah, they're like your
Yeah.
first best friends, your cousins. I feel
Yeah.
like growing up, like. And everyone has made up a dance with their cousin, like, in their basement. Like, that's just a thing, I think. Like, that's a childhood thing. But we did have a little bit of conflict with them, too, especially with Elena being gay and, the question of who gets the marriage shawl next and things like that. And I love that Penelope did stick up for Elena, and I feel like she's come to terms with it, at the beginning, but there was some weirdness, and I just love seeing her, mama bear side come out, and she will do anything, to protect her kids, which I love. And then at the end, we get a big plot twist where we find out that Estrelita is pretty conservative.
Yeah.
A little
Pretty?
American, very conservative. But I thought that was just a very unexpected and pretty funny way to end the whole thing.
It was really funny. I think because we saw them get closer, we saw that relationship start to rekindle and everything, and then when that just dropped, Penelope's face was priceless.
In family and politics, like it always happens.
Yeah.
That's why you avoid those conversations
Exactly.
at Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Exactly. And funerals.
yeah.
And funerals and weddings and all the
funerals
things.
everywhere.
And anytime you're gathered, just don't talk about it.
Exactly. We're going to just stay away from that.
Terrible.
Before we go on to our second episode, Candice, can you tell us a little bit about what's happening here at AfterBuzz?
Oh, yes, I can. So before we move on to episode 2, like she said, we want to say thank you for making us the ESPN of TV talk. And for us to continue to grow, we always, always need your help. So make sure you go and see that beautiful subscribe button. You should click on it now. And that way you can get all the notifications that you want. You can also make sure that they are private notifications. You don't have to get all the pesky emails or whatnot, just what you want to know all your information about. And you can give us a rating on iTunes and also hop on over to Spotify. We're over there as well. And leave us a comment below and let us know what your thoughts are on One Day at a Time, the entire season, these first 4 episodes. And we will be sure to check those comments out and give you a shout out on air because we love all of your support. And for being a part of AfterBuzz TV, it means so much to us.
Yes, thank you. Yes, please leave the comments. We love...
And thumbs
Comments,
up.
thumbs up, 5
everything.
stars,
We just love
everything.
All the things.
Yes.
Just love us is what we're
love us.
asking.
Yes.
Please and thank you.
We could talk about the show all day long. So
Right.
Granted, I will say
That
this
comment.
though, like, number one, TV fans are legit.
Yes.
Like every after show I've been on here on AfterBuzz, like they are hardcore diehard fans and they give so much like meaningful commentary about
Yeah.
everything, but especially One Day at a Time fans. Like
sure.
it's such a, I don't know, it's not even just a culture show. I think it is partly that. I think it's very indicative of the Latinx experience. And I think a lot of people, that's why they love it so much. They're like, oh my gosh, my grandma used to do that or whatever. But I also think it's just a good, lighthearted show.
Yep.
And
Oh,
the
yeah.
topics that they really hit on are so beautifully done that I think that they've grown to become like one of the best hit shows on Netflix. And it shows they've been nominated for how many different things?
Yeah.
A lot.
So it's great.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
speaking of the topics, I think the second episode of this season called Outside, I think that this was one of one that was most infused sort of with the topic, and it was one that was so important, especially with the Me Too culture. I mean, it's always important, but it's so relevant right now and
Yeah.
added so much to the conversation, I think. And I love how we have Alex sort of in the middle of it, because Alex is a great character, and I feel like we root for him, but he's a teenage boy, and he
Yeah.
makes mistakes.
Of
Yep.
course.
And I love how they allow him to do that. He's not just this precocious, perfect. Like, everyone is flawed in this show, but, like, very lovable at the same time. And I love how they kind of straddle that line so perfectly. But anyway, we have Alex, and he has got himself kind of a girlfriend, I guess, maybe.
Which I was hoping
Chloe.
that- well, yeah, because like we see Sheridan Pierce as Isabella Gomez's like girlfriend or whatever, Sid. So like I was hoping to see
Significant other.
Sid.
Yes, the
Sid-nificant
significant other.
other.
Right, exactly.
That was so cute.
Yeah.
Her better hole, right?
You will not be saying that.
No, but so I was hoping we would see her in this episode. I was
Right.
hoping we would see her
Right.
show up, but she didn't show up. But there were a lot of references to, his girlfriend.
Yes, hopefully maybe she'll show up later in the season or
Yeah.
next season. But I know I would love to see him interact with the ladies, because everyone says that he's a lady killer. Like, let's see it. Let's
I
see it
mean,
in
look at that
action.
little smile, though.
And the hair,
I will
man. He's got the
say-
nice coif and hair.
Right.
I will say Marcel is very charismatic himself, so he
Yeah.
brings a lot of that to the character. He's a very charismatic young man.
He's so cute. But he has an Insta to show off expensive sneakers, but also
Finsta.
a Finsta, yes, which I love how they brought in Finsta.
Finsta.
Also, do y'all have Finstas?
I don't have one, but I know what it
don't.
is.
I know what it is, but no, I don't.
Candice,
You have
gonna
a
drop that
Finsta?
handle?
I don't put anything on it. I just use it to
Oh, right.
Expensive sneakers.
I'm only on Raya, but
I mean, that too.
Oh,
yeah, there you
no.
I'm
go.
kidding.
Yay!
Why are
kidding.
you throwing me under the bus here? Like, both of them? Like, come on.
Does Scott follow your Finsta? The nurse in the office? Does he
Oh,
also
no,
follow
no
your
one
Finsta?
follows my Finsta. That's the
Okay.
point of a Finsta. For me, at least. I don't want anybody following it.
Well, we do find out that Scott is following Alex's, and Penelope forces him to show it to her, and we find some unsavory things.
Yes.
You know, Alex acting a little inappropriate.
He's being a pig. I mean,
Being a
he's
little-
also being a young.
He's a young lumber.
Yeah. Like
Yes.
if I rewound back to like when I was his age, there are definite things where I'm like, man, that's not cool. Like as an adult, I've apologized. I mean, like, dude, I'm so sorry. I used to act that way or whatever. So, but he's acting his age.
Exactly. But we do find out that he's maybe learned some of this behavior from Lydia, because she has encouraged him not to take no for an answer, which is very problematic. But she doesn't know any better. And that goes to say with the story that she tells about Mimi, who was blindfolded and taken to the field
I was dying with that.
which was nuts.
Oh
but
my
that
God.
leads to a really, really good conversation, and it leads to especially Elena and then later Penelope kind of sharing their own stories about sexual harassment. And so Elena goes first. Like, she and Syd kind of talk about how they were walking off the bus and some guy, behind them was telling them to kiss, and that moment was so just so emotional for me, just so I got chills. What was I'm sure that you were also pretty traumatized by it.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just, it's so sad that I can hear these stories and be like, oh, yep, I can totally see that happening. But I do think that the way they handled it was opening up the dialogue to it was more of a lesson rather than shaming either party either, because I think it's more about educating rather than shaming. I think that that's where we're coming to at the Me Too movement, is that where do we draw that line of conversation, but not let's pick up our pitchforks either. How do we teeter-totter on that line, and that story alone. I mean, I think they've done a great job talking about LGBTQ issues in this show and really telling true stories. So I can only imagine, I've never been in Elena's shoes, never been in that type of scenario. I could relate to Lupe's scenarios, but it was just really interesting the way that they talked about it too, and to be that young, and to deal with that,
because it goes back to kind of the guys and being Neanderthals and I don't mean to categorize, but construction workers, catcalling women, kind of goes back to that a little bit. So then there's the whole, why don't you two kiss? It kind of, that's what it reminds me of. It just kind of the, women don't like being catcalled.
Yeah.
But also on the other hand,
Men don't like being.
that too, but also Lydia enjoys it.
Yeah.
So you also have both sides of the token of generationally,
Exactly.
We have different types.
is it just flattering, or is it something that's demeaning and degrading?
Right.
Where
And it's all about the person on the receiving end, and how they feel. And I think, like you said, it opened the floor for discussion and learning and teaching, also to speak up, because they were terrified and they didn't, they hadn't told Penelope or anyone. They hadn't told anyone what happened to them, and they were just terrified and just swept it under the rug. And I think it was a great opportunity for this episode just to show everyone that speaking and telling someone is okay, and just to move forward in that and stop it.
And at least, they're two 15-year-old girls
Exactly.
too. So right, but there's the fear.
Oh
is
yeah,
it makes complete sense with the age.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to touch on, I think on Twitter, the little moment where Rita Moreno's character holds Syd's hand when she's saying it was scary. It was unscripted. So I was like, that's just a beautiful moment of
that gave me
improv.
chills. That's so sweet.
I was like,
Those gym
amazing.
moments, those
Yes.
little gems
that aren't even
make-
necessarily
to
written
make it-
in.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then, yes, we get that kind of encourages Penelope to open up too about how one of her army mentors sort of took advantage of her and sexually harassed her. And although she fought back, she didn't report it to anyone. And there was a line that I thought was really heartbreaking, but summed it up well. It says, if you say something, if you don't say something, you carry it around inside. If you do say something, you carry it around outside. And it's true. It's a lose-lose situation.
Well, I loved that they did so many different facets, because there's so many different levels of Me Too, of it being LGBTQ, military.
Yep.
That's a huge thing.
Don't
And it's
ask, don't tell.
Don't ask, don't tell.
Don't
You.
ask, don't
It
tell.
was more for the gay community
yeah.
within military, but it can also, I mean, it could be used towards any type of sexual harassment. Because, I mean, look at the numbers of how many men versus women in the military. It is skewed. But not only just for that, I mean, Lupe's struggle is any woman that's in like big corporate America or any job, really. And even for some men, too, like this is not one-sided. It's just a human issue more than anything. But I liked they showed all different elements and like the consequences of not telling versus the consequences of telling.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. It wasn't just like a one note thing. It was a very layered discussion in like 25 minutes. Like they just
how they did it.
The gift to do that.
And it wasn't like really banging it like over someone's head. Like that's what I was saying. It's like taking the momentum from season 2, where they like incorporate a lot of like just kind of like headlines from today in season 2, and like they did it right again with season 3.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're very good at being subtle, but like getting the point across at the same time, which is great. So the next episode is Benefit with Friends, and this was a little bit more lighthearted, although there was some there was also some drama, which there always is in the show. Always that balance. So we have Penelope possibly having another little love interest. What did you guys think about Mateo?
I love Mateo.
I love Mateo too.
I mean,
but you know what, Mateo? Okay, here's the thing. Mateo was great. He was great, but he wasn't the hunk from season 2.
I
mean, you know, I was kind of looked at it as like I get it, but it's kind of a step down. Hey, I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not an Adonis, but I'm just saying.
But don't they say date your best friend?
Yeah, they do. But that's
that could be a bad thing. That could be.
Danny's been through some stuff.
Right? I definitely think, like you said, it's definitely a step down. I think it was kind of like at the point settling. And
I didn't say it. Danny said it. I didn't say it.
I'm just saying because I mean Penelope's my girl. Now she needs the best, you know. And like he was showing some characteristics that really turns her on and stuff like that. And like she's at a vulnerable moment right now. I know she's very independent, but she also needs that other, significant other. So I think he was just there at the right place and the right time. But. Sorry.
He's gonna just
sorry, not sorry.
In there.
Side note: that is actually Isabella's uncle.
Nice.
In real life.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
I love how they bring so many.
Right.
So she was like, "We need more Colombians on the show," and then therefore, more Colombians.
Nice.
But yeah, that was some
He's
side
fun,
note.
though.
That
He's a
she's
great
like,
character.
he's
Yeah,
fantastic.
he's totally great actor.
Really
I mean,
Great actor.
I'm excited to see more of him too. Like I'm ready to see more of his sort of personality.
Quirky, nuanced personality.
Yeah, see different sides of him. But yeah, speaking of love and also keeping it in the family, Schneider has a new little love interest too. Avery,
Schneider.
India debut for who is his real life wife, which is so cute.
Wait, that's his real life? What?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That's adorable.
They just had a baby. They're so cute.
That's so
Amazing.
great.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah.
They're like, let's keep the love real in here.
Literally, this whole family is like a family within a family within a family.
Right. I
Okay.
love it.
It really is, but I am obsessed with Avery. I love her
Yeah.
cute little glasses, her cute little
Can we just
outfit.
comment on their height difference though?
Adorable. But yeah, she is a kindergarten teacher and also a poet, like such a little nerd. I love her so much. And I love her little move of putting her phone number on the typewriter and just he's like, this is very experimental.
I'm like, come on, Schneider. Let's go.
I loved it though. And I
That was
loved how
awesome.
we had sort of the opposite with Nikki, who is like the little neighbor / mom at school, how they had their little toxic fling, and he was like, well, I guess I'm gonna go home with her tonight. And then he, meets someone he actually deserves.
Yeah, he's got because he actually has a connection with.
Yeah.
Versus just kind of just like I don't know.
A fling.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do have to say, though, the actress that plays Nikki, Jolie Jenkins, is hilarious. Like, she's so funny. Like, I almost hope that she keeps trying to sabotage things just so I can, like,
So you can see one.
I know, but she's so fun. Like, she's
The
so fun to
bidding was
watch.
hilarious. So it's going back and forth.
She's like, I can't go any
I
further.
can't.
I know, right? Like, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Which we find out later. Never mind.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll see where it goes.
Her bidding could have gone higher.
Right.
Just saying.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good hint of little things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I mean, the bidding could go higher, but when she knows that she doesn't have to bid and can get it for free,
Right.
like, why keep
She was
bidding?
like, come on.
Why keep bidding? I mean, I know it's going to a good cause, but why keep bidding?
I mean, yeah.
I got you. Yeah.
Totally true. Yeah. But I think Schneider's due time for having someone
yeah.
like, as much as the Alvarez's love him, like, he's still like the weird landlord and like, he has a horrible relationship with his dad that we've seen in previous seasons. Like, he needs some like real connection of someone that gets him.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, he's weird and nuanced as well. And to find another girl that kind of has that like,
And we don't need to see Schneider keep going over to the place all the time.
Right.
No. It's just like,
we want him to have a little love.
yeah.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
Get a life, Schneider.
Oh, okay.
Shots
One day at a time.
Oh,
But we also have in this episode, Lydia is refusing to stop doing all the things that she loves, even though her doctor highly recommends against it. She's wearing heels. She's selling dancing lessons instead of knitting lessons, like she and Dr. Berkowitz were supposed to be selling. And Elena's kind of playing bad cop to this situation. And I love it when those two interact because they're so very different, but also so very similar at the same time with their stubbornness.
Yeah.
Did you guys love seeing Elena step into that role and like try to play the cat and mouse game with her essentially?
that was me with my grandmother.
Yeah.
Like, to a T. Like, I would break the cigarettes.
It's crazy too because Rita Moreno seems like she's like 65, even though in real life she's 85.
Yeah.
So like that stuff's legit.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
like that stuff's like legit just because she's so like she's got so much energy and so she's like just all there that you think, oh, but why you should be able to wear high heels. You should be able to do all these things. But it's like, but she's actually 85. You know, I don't know about it on the show. So
Yeah.
you look
Right.
at that, it's like, yeah, maybe she like have like flats.
Listen, no one can tell me to stop wearing my heels.
Right.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that was like watching my mom on there. Seriously. Like there's nothing that will change her from having her heels, her hair done,
Lipstick.
her earrings, her lipstick,
Lipstick.
everything.
I mean, or maybe just like
She
wedges.
is just
I
like,
don't know.
no.
Not heels or wedges. I don't
You
know.
fake it till you make it.
Yep, exactly.
The cowboy boots, perhaps?
Oh, gosh.
It was so funny.
Right.
I love Lydia and Dr. Berkowitz interacting too, though, because they're
Oh, yeah.
just such an odd couple. I love it so
They're
much.
not a couple.
No, they're not a couple. You're right. Couple of friends. Odd couple of friends. I guess.
It's so odd.
They have
love
a great relationship. They
Yeah.
have a great
They
relationship.
do.
And
They
they're
agree.
so dynamic working together, like actor-wise. Like, the
Yes.
two of them bantering back and forth is just so epic to watch them, like, go back and forth. It's so good.
It should not work. Like, nothing about that should work, but it does.
But it
so
does,
well.
right? It does.
It's incredible. And then Lydia ends up finally twisting her ankle, and Elena has the hard talk and is like, listen, I want you to be around, like, for years to come. And Lydia is, maybe going to try a little harder to keep herself safer, but she also makes a bouquet list of things
bouquet
list, which I'm excited to see what's on that. I can only imagine. So that will be interesting.
She keeps
A
referring
bouquet
to
list.
it.
A bouquet
Love
list.
it. Love it.
Amazing. Let's go to our last episode that we're going to discuss today, Hermanos. We have Tito, aka Danny Pino, aka
Yeah.
SVU alum. That's like
Oh,
my
yeah.
favorite show of
Yeah.
all time. I was like, it's Amaro, it's Nick Amaro, but it's not. It's Tito in this show. But
I know way too many Titos. It's apparently a very popular name.
Pito Pino with a small pito. Got it.
savage. I really enjoyed seeing him, though. I think that it added a lot to sort of it gave insight into what Penelope's like childhood was like and what Lydia was like as a mother to young children. So I thought that was really interesting because it seems like Tito's like the golden child and everyone seems to like him better than Penelope. And I think every sibling has felt that way before if you have other siblings. Did you guys, what were your initial thoughts about him? Were you like Team Tito? Were you kind of like a little bit defensive of Penelope when he came into the picture?
I mean, I love Tito. I mean, he's fun. He's that uncle that everyone
Yeah, he's the
loves.
fun uncle.
He's the
Exactly.
fun uncle. Doesn't mean he's necessarily responsible or
Right.
any of that, but he's definitely like he brought the fun element to the episode. I liked it.
It's Alex grown up.
Pretty
It
much,
is.
yeah.
Like, it's literally Alex
That's a good point.
grown up.
Yeah, that's
So,
a good
like,
point.
you're really seeing the relationship of Elena and Alex in the future if you really pay attention to it. And obviously, Penelope doesn't do as much favoritism as Lydia did. But,
Right.
I mean, Lydia does the exact same thing with Alex. like papito, like all the love, and like she just loves her men.
Yeah.
Her boys.
No, it's funny too because I actually made a joke to Marcel when I was interviewing him, and I said, "Hey, so like so like in real life, is Rita is Rita like favor you over Isabella?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, she knows." So, it's funny. It's funny when he said that. I was like, "Oh, all right, man, that's great."
That's so funny how it translates off screen too a little bit.
Hey.
But we do kind of figure out that Tito was not always there, like at the times where he should have been there. I mean, when Lydia was in the hospital, he wasn't there. He wasn't super emotionally available when Berto was dying as well. And so that kind of all fell on Penelope to be the responsible one. And I just really felt for her in that situation because she should be able to sort of lean on her brother, but she never really got to do that because he wasn't really there.
And especially seeing like how in season 2 how powerful that episode was when Gloria came here and she talked about how everybody got a monologue. Schneider and Marcel and they all got like a monologue, and so when you don't see like all of a sudden you bring this new character in, then like it's like, oh, he wasn't there when she was in a coma in the hospital, and you're like, oh yeah, that's right. Where were you?
Right.
But I think too, one part, and not to make it any better because I still think it was wrong, he does show like his vulnerability and be like, I don't want to lose my mom, and I think that that's a very real and visceral reaction from a lot of people,
right.
is that they'd rather deny that it's happening
exactly.
than to deal with it. And so in that element, the fact that he came clean at the end and was like, I'm sorry I wasn't there for you, I don't want to see anything happen to you, I think that didn't completely make up for it, but I think it was the apology that was like needed.
Absolutely. It wasn't that he just was like not wanting to come, or he was like off doing something else. Like it was just too hard for him.
And he was
hard for him to face.
Busying himself with work so that he didn't have to face it. It wasn't like work was more important. It's because work was the only thing to keep his mind off of what's happening.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I still would have been pissed if my brother did not.
I mean, yeah, of course. That doesn't
Like-
negate anything.
Because
but
in the end, I mean, like the family's all you
what?
have.
is
Yeah, exactly.
going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he does kind of promise to try to stick around
Yes.
a little more, and I hope that we actually
That would
see
be
that in the show
awesome.
too. Like he's great, and I want to get to know him more too. Like,
Right.
I mean, they did such a great job fleshing him out already, but I mean, you only have so much time, and I want to see more of their interaction because he was a lot of fun. And you sort of touched on the fact that Elena and Alex's relationship is sort of similar in ways, and we got to see them kind of having their own little sibling rivalry, which is a lot of fun. Like they play siblings very, very
They do.
well.
Yeah.
They do.
And I did love, just like a side note, in the moment where Elena throws up in the car from reading, because that happens. Like that
happens to everybody.
Does it?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
It's motion
Car
sickness.
sickness.
Yeah.
Motion
Motion
sickness.
sickness. Yeah.
I've never had that.
I can't read in cars.
Sorry, guys. I read on long road trips. I love to.
Really?
Yes, all the time.
Good
I
for
have
you.
no motion sickness whatsoever.
No, everything
That's
that
great.
Elena
Yeah,
does.
Candice has no emotion sickness.
Hey! Listen, I can cry if y'all want me.
No, everything that
Just hop on over to watch This
yeah,
Is Us,
watch
and you
This
can
Is
see me
Us. Yeah,
cry
I was
on
gonna say.
air every week emotionless. Thank you very much.
You guys are acting like the Tito and
Siblings.
Penelope.
There you go.
Yeah.
Siblings.
That's true. That's true.
But I did love how they were like, listen, we cannot let our relationship get to that point. Like, I always want to be closer, to you than they are to each other. And they have this sort of hilarious compromise where he's going to quiz her on SAT vocab words, and she's going to take pictures of him. I was like, of course.
Narcissist would be the first word that he
Narcissist,
reads.
that's right.
It was amazing.
So funny.
Such a good setup.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Can we talk for a second, not about a heavy topic, but about the Cokes?
The what?
The Cokes
In the mini fridge.
in the
In
mini
the mini
fridge.
fridge where she's
Yes,
doing the whole like
let's
Raiders
do
of the
that.
Lost Ark,
I
like
love
trying to
it.
switch.
That
yeah.
was so funny. Like
The
vacation.
kids drank the Cokes on the way here. Don't worry. I get it from the mini fridge.
Oh yeah, that was so.
Mommy!
No, we're about to wait.
I forgot. You know what?
Wait
And the funny thing is,
sensor.
I forgot about the whole weight
Wait,
thing.
since
Yeah.
Yeah, I always just thought it was just like it's just there because like I think back in the day I've done that where I went out and just replaced
Yeah.
Yeah.
a Coke from like a
Yeah.
store or whatever, but that's before the weight sensors. But I forgot that the weight sensor stuff is like legit.
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
If it so.
She had the sandbags. I love that he goes, Abuela, get the Bible.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
It reminded me of, because I actually went and saw an episode being filmed in season 2, and it was the movie theater episode where they're like trying to open the cans because they're sneaking
Bring the
food
can.
in.
Yeah, yep.
And that's what it reminded me of so much. I'm like, I love how this is just like a recurring joke. No matter where they go, they're like not buying overpriced food.
You gotta
I
bring
love
your
that she
stuff.
gets it, and then she like a whole like move.
It's like a Mission Impossible movie.
It's like a fun thing to put into the show for sure.
I
Yeah.
mean, I was holding my breath. I was like, is she going to
I
make
know.
it in time?
The most anxiety-inducing moment of the show so far,
You
guys.
gotta make it in time.
I don't know. She may get charged.
Like,
Yeah, I was
Because the whole joke was like they'd never gone on a vacation, and then she's like, "No, you got like the ears," and it's just like that wasn't even like the ears from like Disneyland
Actual
or whatever.
Disneyland.
Yeah.
So then that-
And they live in Los Angeles. Like, it's not that far.
right.
so
But
funny.
going to Disney's expensive.
Oh,
It is
Yeah, it
expensive.
is.
I mean, it's
That's why I have a
really
season
expensive.
pass.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
pricey.
Oh.
Yeah, it's only $30 a month.
Well, we're going.
Oh,
We're
wow.
all going.
I know.
Okay, guys, if you want Disney, if you want to sponsor us,
That's why I just get my friends that work for Disney to take. No, I'm just kidding.
But that doesn't
Just
work
kidding.
for everybody that doesn't live in
just
Los
kidding.
Angeles.
I'm just kidding.
Anyways, we digress back to one day at a time.
Yes,
Vacation. What?
absolutely. And so while they're off having their fun vacation, we get some of my favorite scenes in this whole season, which is the Schneider and Dr. Berkowitz scenes in the Alvarez household.
Come true.
Oh my god.
I love the little montage of everything.
I
That was
was like,
amazing.
I want a whole show of this. Like, can we have a spin-off of just these two doing things? Like,
Oh, maybe that's like down the road.
I'm
Maybe.
here
Maybe
for
that's
it.
down the road.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
When
that's-
they're throwing stuff in the mouth and then he chokes.
Yes, of course he does.
I just.
You know what? You might actually have a good idea. Like, I
Thank
mean, like
you.
it
I'm
hasn't been
pitching it
done
right
yet.
now.
Pitch
Yeah,
it.
it hasn't been done yet on Netflix. But I mean,
Right.
maybe after like 10 seasons of One Day at a Time, like they can spin it off to.
If you guys need writers, this whole table.
Gloria, are you listening? Mike, are you listening?
Right.
We're here for that. Or even like a fun little mini series. I don't know, but I would love to see more of those two interact.
Yes.
And they also had really touching moments when they were
Yeah.
out on the balcony and Schneider was talking about how he was sober now and Dr. Berkowitz was so proud of him, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is making me tear up. Like,
Yeah.
It's so emotional.
Yeah. The father figure. I love how Dr. B had the edibles though. They helped me sleep. That was
I'm sure they do.
I'm like, he would. I love that scene.
Yeah, I thought that was so good.
cute.
Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about? Any just random moments or jokes from these first 4 episodes?
I love the coming out of the closet.
Oh, that
Maria.
was great.
Oh my god. That's how you come out of the
That
closet.
is how you come out of the
I
closet.
love it.
That was hilarious.
Also, side note, the wedding shawl is a mantilla.
Yeah, Mantilla.
Mantilla.
Yes.
So it was something interesting, very coincidental, but bumped into Gloria last night at an event, and I was talking to her about this season, and we were talking about Pilar, Stephanie Beatrice, and she said that in her episode, so the funeral, in her episode, she was actually shadowing Gloria for directing.
Wow, that's amazing.
Interesting. And I wanted to point out that the person who played her wife, Susan, is Michelle Badillo, who is a writer on the show, who was amazing. I love her and I follow her on Twitter and just want to be here when I grow up, essentially. But they have planted a lot of their writers in these
Yeah.
episodes, which is so much
I mean,
fun.
in future episodes,
Writers,
just saying.
right. Writers writing for themselves. Love it.
I also, if you guys like a dynamic duo, if you go on over to Gloria's Instagram, you can see her and Mike
Oh,
my
yeah.
God, yes.
on their Instagram stories.
They're-
I die
they're-
every time.
they're a mess
It's the
together.
Mike and Gloria show.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's
they
such
are
a fun little
hilarious.
duo.
And they're so good about being so interactive, all of them. Like, not only just Gloria, but the entire cast and crew that is involved. They're very social and, like, post all
Yeah.
the really cool behind the scenes stuff.
They care so much about their fan base, and their
Right.
fan base is so passionate. That's just like such a little love fest all the time. I love it so much. You guys, thank you so much. This was such a fun part 1. We will be back next week for part 2. Until then, where can everyone find you on social media?
Hey guys, you can find me on all social media at Rick Hong, RICKHONG.
And you can find me on all my social media at Candice R. Cruz. And on Tuesdays, you can hop on over and watch This Is Us After Show with myself and Mr. Danny Royce right
Where you can see Candice be emotionless.
here. Emotion full.
You can
Emotion
find
full.
me everywhere at I am Danny Royce.
You guys can find me on Twitter at alphabet_and, on Instagram at Taylor_Gase_, and every Tuesday at 8 o'clock on the Good Trouble After Show. We will see you next week, same time, same place.
Wanted a
rapping,
time. Wanted a time.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.